Now خليني أشيل هذا الحكي هيك. Okay. When we talk about vertical motion, okay, what we are talking about? Now, شباب, انتوا بتعرفوا when we drop any object, what makes it fall? شباب, what makes things fall?
Gravity.
Gravity, weight, gravity, exactly. تمام. طيب, إذا يا أدهم, there is only one force. Yes, Ibrahim, you can tell me. There is only one force acting on the object to fall, which we call it what? Gravitational force. شو اسمها هاي gravitational force يا إبراهيم؟ You can write it down. Okay, yes. What we call it? We call it weight.
Weight.
Exactly, we call it weight. Exactly. طيب. سلمى. هذا الويت قد ايه equal? What's the formula for the weight? متذكرين? What's the formula for the weight? Weight equal
أيوة.
what? Mass times أيوة. Mass times what? Mass times
9.8.
gravity. And how much is the gravity acceleration here on Earth?
10 almost.
10 meters per second. شكرا يا إبراهيم. شكرا عبد الرحمن. شكرا يا شباب اللي عم تحكي. طيب, so 10 meters per second square, that is the gravity acceleration here on Earth, which change from planet to another. طيب, لو أنا مسكت my phone, my mobile, okay, and me, and I jump from this any building, okay, which one will land on the ground first, me or my mobile?
You.
The mobile.
The mobile, me. شو رأيك يا
It's
حازم?
you.
You. Actually, both of us. ليش? Both of us land on the ground at the same time. It doesn't matter which one is heavier. في ناس تفكر whenever the object is heavier, it will fall down to the ground faster, and that's not correct. Why that's not correct? Let me show you something. Hold on.
So is it the video from BBC with Brian Cox?
هيك شايف الفيديو. طيب, خلينا نشوف هالشغله شوي بس. Okay, share sound, share this one. Okay, share. Look here, I will show you a video now. Where is it? I told you, okay, if you don't have a parachute or air resistance, you will fall very quickly down. So all objects, they fall due to the gravity down because there is only one force acts on them, which is the weight. So they fall with the gravity acceleration. But if you have a parachute, you will land safely and slowly, okay? So because you have large surface area. So let's talk about without air resistance first, then with air resistance. Now I want from you to write these down with me, okay? Bismillah. All. When I said all, I mean all. All objects fall down to the planet, the Earth, the Moon, the Mars, Jupiter, whatever, to the planet with same constant acceleration called, what do we call it? We call it gravity acceleration. Gravity acceleration. Okay. Which is equal to how much? Which is between brackets G equal 10 meters per second square on Earth. But on another planet it has several different values. Okay. Due to what? Due to the single force acts on them, which is the weight. Due to the single force acts on them, اللي هي ايش? Which is the weight. Which is the weight. So because there's only weight, the object falls down with a gravity acceleration, which is 10 meters per second square. But if there's air resistance, that's something different. So until now, we don't mention what air resistance. So let's look here back. If I have this table and I drop an object, okay? Whenever I drop it and there's no air resistance, again, during the time, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, etc. In the instant that you release it, it falls with an acceleration of how much? 10. After 1 second, it remains 10. 10 meters per second square. What that means? What do I mean by 10 meters per second square, which is G, which is constant? What this means? 10 meters per second square. Yes, Shabab.
The power of gravity.
The sir, is the screen very okay? No problem. Is it now clear, Abdurrahman? Now, helium balloon is something else. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Is it clear now? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Fine. So it's constant because of the gravity acceleration, and there is one force acts on it. Okay. Tamam. So, but yes, that means 10 meters per second square. That means the speed increases every second by how much? By 10. So in the beginning here, when you drop it, the initial speed is how much? 0. But after first second, it will be 10. After second second, it will be 20. After 3 seconds, it will be 30, 40, 50, etc. Why is this? Because every second, the speed increases by how much? By 10. Okay, Mister, please remove the chat. I can't see. I thought that you can see. Okay, tamam. So here it's 40, okay, and 50. So that's how I get these values. I got these values from the formula acceleration equal v minus u divided by t. I make v as the subject of the formula. So v equal u, which is how much u, is 0, plus the acceleration, which is what? 10 multiplied by what? Multiplied by time. So 10 multiplied by 3, it will be 30. 10 multiplied by 4, it will be 40, etc. I cross multiply and make v as the subject of the formula. So when I say that the acceleration is constant, which is 10 meters per second square, that means every second the increase, there's increase in the speed by how much? By 10 meters per second. Okay, that's why they call it acceleration of 10 meters per second square. Now the distance, it have the same idea. Now the distance is 0, and after the first second it will be 5, then it will be 20 meters, then it will be 45, then it will be 80, etc. It will be 125. How come I find these values? I use the formula. Which formula? Distance equal u, which is 0, plus v, okay, divided by 2, multiplied by t. So let's say, okay, at 3 seconds, how much is v? 30. So 0 plus 30 is 30, divided by 2, 15, multiplied by 3, so the answer is 45. So these are the distance and the speed and the acceleration during anything that falls without air resistance. But what are the objects that are affected by air resistance? I want to write here, then I'll continue writing here, okay? But you have to continue writing the notes, okay, on your booklet, on your worksheet, okay? But if the object, now who can tell me what are the characteristics of the object? What are the description of the object that affected by air resistance? If the object has what? High density, low density, high weight, low weight, large volume, small volume, large surface area. large surface area. What else? هلا في ناس عم بيبعتوا chat. Okay, اللي هو, do we write it down? Yes, if you please write it down. Low density. So the most important thing is what? Like the feather, low density. But if the object has low density, okay, or what? Or large surface area. Large surface area. I remove it now. I remove it. I want to see who chat to me. Or large surface area. Or what? Or big volume. Or big volume. What will happen to it? Okay, it will be affected. It will be affected by what? By air resistance. Now, some students, they do a mistake now. What the air resistance actually do, okay, for the person or the object that falls, okay, from high surface, okay, like this one, okay, by air resistance, which what the air resistance actually do? Ah, yes, Ibrahim.
Makes the objects drop slower.
Slower, okay. A better word than slower. Does the acceleration remains the same or the acceleration decreases to make the speed slower?
Decrease the acceleration?
Exactly, which decreases the acceleration. So that's what's happening, decreases the acceleration. How does it decreases acceleration? Now we know that we are going to study later on that there's two forces act on the person. Here there's only weight, but here there is what? Weight and what? Air resistance. Now, since the parachute is completely open and we are moving slowly, so they are equal. The air resistance and the weight, they are equal. But in the beginning, when it starts to speeds up, when it falls, the acceleration was low. Then as the speed increases, the air resistance increases until the air resistance up is equal and cancel the weight down. We are going to explain that in details later on. So again, but if the object has low density, large surface area, or big volume, it will be affected by air resistance, which decreases the acceleration by decreasing what? By decreasing something, we are going to study it later on, by decreasing the resultant force. By decreasing the resultant force. What do I mean by resultant force? Who can tell me, what do I mean by resultant force? Huh?
Sir,
Yes.
the positive and negative force.
Yeah, عيني عليك. So we have, now here we have only one force, which is what? The weight down. But if there's a small air resistance up a little bit, that means he will fall, okay, with acceleration less than what? Less than g, صح? Right? So the acceleration, it will be less than g, because there is small air resistance upwards. So that means the resultant force, it not be the weight only. There is weight minus what? Air resistance. Okay? So the acceleration downwards, okay, it will be 10 if there is only weight. But since there is weight and there is air resistance, that means the acceleration will be less than what? G, less than 10. So there is only weight. So because of that, acceleration equal G. Here, okay, acceleration is less than what? G, because there is weight and there is what? Air resistance. Maybe there is no acceleration. It depends on the situation that we are going to talk about it. Yes? Tamam? Good? So, and as the speed increases, what will happen to the air resistance? كل ما انت فاتح شباك السيارة وعم تمشي بالسيارة، شعراتك بيطيروا بزيادة ولا بخفوا؟ يا شباب، ابراهيم، شو بصير بشعراتك لما تكون انت ماشي بالسيارة وتزيد سرعة السيارة؟ Exactly. The air resistance will be more or will be less? Hazem, what do you think? As the speed increases, the air resistance will increase or will decrease?
Decrease.
Decrease. What do you think, Selma? Increase or decrease as the speed increases? What happens as the speed increases? The air resistance, what happens to it?
Increase.
Increases.
Exactly. As the speed increases, yes, the air resistance. Okay, في ناس كتبوا كثير أجوبة. Exactly. شكرا لكم. صح. And as the speed increases, the air resistance increases. reducing the resultant force until what? Until what? What will happen? As the speed
until they're equal.
Exactly. Until the air resistance برافو يا عيني عليكم. Until the air resistance equal and cancels the weight. شو بصير بالاوبجكت؟ بوقف في الهواء. Until the air resistance cancels the weight. طب إذا ال air resistance cancels the weight معناته الأوبجكت will stop in the air؟
No, sir, it will stop accelerating.
It will stop accelerating until the air resistance cancels the weight. In this situation خليني أكتبها in symbols. In this situation معناته the resultant force, how much is the resultant force? Is 0. And how much is the acceleration? Is 0. That means the object will stop moving or it will keep falling with constant speed?
Constant speed.
It will keep falling at constant speed. What is constant speed? We call it until the air resistance cancels the weight and it keeps falling at steady speed. What we call this is steady speed?
Terminal velocity.
We call it terminal velocity. We call it what? Terminal velocity. So terminal velocity, it's a term that we use for falling objects when it reaches constant speed, there's no acceleration. Okay, when the air resistance is equal to what? To the weight and cancel. Terminal velocity. Later on, we are going to talk about that in what? In details. Okay, write this down or take a screenshot or take a photo camera for all this information. That's why we have a lot in the space. Okay, تمام. Okay, let's move on. نمشي. So in the booklet, if you please. Okay. لا احنا على booklet. Where is the booklet? هي. On the booklet here, write all these informations here لو سمحتوا. مين كفى مع الفراغ؟ مين كفى كل اللاينز هذول يكتبوا الأشياء كلها؟ مين كفى؟ Okay, I wrote down all. Can you repeat the parts? Which parts? Okay, كويس. Which part do you want me to repeat? Which part do you want me to repeat? About air resistance. Okay, let me explain to you again. Okay, هنرجع نشرحه أكثر من مرة during the next weeks. Okay. بس أنا هلا بدي أشرح إشي عشان تفهموه بالزيادة. طلع يا صبايا، طلع يا شباب. شوف يا شباب. إحنا كتبنا أول إشي إنه if there is no air resistance, all object will fall with constant acceleration. بعدين حكينا acceleration affected on object with low density أو large surface area أو what? Big volume. هدول object affected by air resistance. So as the object is falling يعني أول ما object fall هلا بنرسم لك الرسم. Okay. هون بدنا نرسم رسمتين صغار خفيفات لطيفات. Speed time graph للobject that fall without air resistance and object falls with air resistance. Any object without air resistance it falls with constant acceleration صح? So this one without air resistance it fall with what? Constant acceleration. How much is the acceleration equal? G. But when we have this low density or large surface area or big volume, that means initially when I start moving with a low speed, I don't have air resistance yet. But after a while, as the speed increases, air resistance increases. That means the acceleration will be less, decreasing acceleration. Until what? Until the air resistance is equal to what? to the weight. Okay, so as the speed increases, the air resistance increases, reducing the resultant force until the air resistance cancels the weight. So resultant force is 0 and acceleration is 0. And it keeps falling at steady speed, called what? Terminal velocity. So that means I have three parts here. I have the first part here. In the beginning, from O to P, the acceleration is equal to G. Then from P to Q, the acceleration is less than G. Okay, this is Q. Then from Q until it hits the ground, R, the acceleration equal to how much? To 0. In this situation, the object is moving at constant speed. This constant speed, what we call it? Terminal what? Velocity. Can I get rid out? Get rid of chat. Okay, ماشي. نشيل الشات. Okay. So again مرة تانية. Again يا شباب وصبايا. تمام؟ حكينا أول إشي، شكرا لكم. حكينا أول إشي إنه الأوبجكت affected by what? Air resistance لما يكون عنده low density or large surface area or big volume. But هذا الحكي ما بيكون على اللو سبيد، بيكون على ايش؟ على الهاي سبيد حسب الدنسيتي. يعني اذا انا جبت بالون ربر، يعني ربر بالون، هي بالون هيك مربوط هيك، مش ما فيهوش هواء، and I drop it, it fall بسرعه with an acceleration of how much? Acceleration equal G. But if I tie this balloon and fill it inflated with air inside and I release it, it will move down very slowly. Why? Because there's huge air resistance acts on it to fall down. So it depends on how much the density of it, how much air. So if I bring a smaller balloon, same balloon, identical balloon, okay, identical rubber, okay, balloon, okay, and I fill it a little bit with air, it will fall what? Faster. So as the speed increases, the air resistance will be higher. So it will be a straight line, then this straight line will be curved, then eventually it will be another straight line. So from O to P, it will be constant acceleration, acceleration equal G. From P to Q, there is acceleration is less than G, it's decreasing acceleration. And eventually the acceleration is 0, okay? And in this way, this moment from Q to R, it moves with what? Constant speed, we call terminal what? Velocity. So that's with air resistance. And this line is without what? Air resistance. Draw this, if you please, below what you wrote or anywhere on your notebook. That's the graph for speed time graph for objects that are falling with or without what? Air resistance. Okay? Good? Okay, خلينا نشوف كم واحد بعت لي. Okay. Can you get rid of... Okay, تمام ماشي. About air resistance. Okay, ماشي. Okay, تمام. Okay. Next here, we have the questions. I want from you to try to do it. Question number 1, 2, 3, page 12 and 4. I want also from you to continue 5, 6, 7, okay, 8, page 13. And let's move on to question number 9. In question number 9, okay, here, what do we have? This is not real question, but they assume that we have to follow the instructions. What they say? The figures below shows path of one drop of water from a powerful hose that goes upward, slows down. Anything that you throw it upwards, it slows down until it reaches the maximum height and stops. Then what happened to it? It falls where? Down. With what? With acceleration. So when you throw it up in the air, what's the force that acts on it? Write it down. Yalla. What's the force that acts on it up? Is the multiple choice questions homework? Yes, they are homework. Yes. اوكي بس خلينا قبل ما نحكي عن الهومورك خلينا احل سؤال عنه بس خلينا اشوف بس شوي. هون في اوكي طول بالك. Okay. Let's see this question. Fine. A small steel ball, small, not big volume, steel has high density, is dropped from low balcony. That means they didn't reach a high speed to be affected by air resistance. So a small steel ball is dropped from a balcony. Ignore air resistance. Small steel, low balcony, that means there is no air resistance. They said ignore air resistance. Which statement describe its motion? Yeah, tell me which statement describe the motion. Yes, في ناس بلشوا يبعثوا الأجوبة. شكرا يا مروان، شكرا يا عبد الرحمن، شكرا يا مصطفى، شكرا يا حازم. برافو عليكم، برافو برافو. يلا البقية وين؟ إلاف، شكرا يا إلاف. إلاف مش مظبوط الحكي اللي بعتيه يا إلاف. الحمد لله تأكد. اوكي عبد الرحمن مش مظبوط، تأكد. What page is this please? This page, this is in page I think 12. This question number 1, page 12. Okay. Question 1, page 12. And this question 2, page 12. Okay, Adham, bravo. شكرا يا مصطفى، شكرا يا مروان. Yes, it falls with constant acceleration. We just say that without air resistance, it falls with constant acceleration. With air resistance, the acceleration decreases, okay, until it reaches terminal what? Velocity, terminal velocity, VT, okay? But here they say there is no air resistance, so the answer is A. تمام? Good. Next. أنا ليه وقعت المايك؟ لأني خلاص زهقت. الموضوع كثير سهل وموضوع كثير حلو وكثير مفهوم، وإن شاء الله لما نحل أسئلة حتفهموه بالزيادة. أوكي؟ حنضلنا هيك يعني خلاص يعني الموضوع أنا كثير بالنسبة لي I'm very proud إنه أنتم عم تفهموه من أول مرة وعم تحلوه صح. طيب اللي بعده. Question 2 page 12. 3 balls are dropped from a bench من طاولة يعني 1 meter 1.2 meter ما لحقش وصل very high speed عشان affected by air resistance. Which balls have the same acceleration? يلا ابعتوا لي الجواب. شكرا يا حازم، شكرا يا محمد. مين كمان؟ شكرا يا سلمى. Which balls have the same acceleration? حتى لو جواب غلط ابعتوا لي اياه. شو الجواب؟ Now you can see that wood has least density. بس مش فارقة معي لأنه بيحكينا from a bench مش from a tower, not from a building, not from an airplane. So there is no air resistance. So the answer is what? D. Aluminum, lead, and wood, 3 of them, they will have acceleration equal to how much? To G, to gravity acceleration. Okay? But if they said that for long distance, yes, maybe the wood, it will be affected by weight and small air resistance. Maybe the air resistance keep increasing in the opposite direction. Tamam? Maybe, not necessarily, because they said what? Low bench. So low bench doesn't reach a high speed to be affected by what? By air resistance. So the answer is what? Is D. Tamam? That is the power of air. Yalla. This question, يا عيني عليكم, شكرا. Because they have identical spheres. Okay. Tamam. This question, 2 men jump out from an airplane at the same time. One of the men opens his parachute and the other man remains falling freely. هذا falling freely وهذا open the parachute. Why the man with the free fall moves faster? يلا, send me the answer. Why the man when free fall, this one, will fall faster? Yes, Ibrahim, بعت لي جواب. Yes. So 2 is A. Do you mean question number 2? Question number 2, the answer is D. Question number 1, the answer is A. تمام؟ Okay. Yes. في ناس بعتوا لي حازم وأدهم وإلاف. Yes, برافو عليكم كلياتكم. شكرا شكرا شكرا. The parachutist experience a greater air resistance. It's obvious. هذا air resistance عليه ولا شيء negligible ها. بس إيش في عليه weight لتحت كتير. But this one, there is weight and there is what? Air resistance, and they are what? Equal. So because they are equal, he's falling at terminal velocity. He's falling at terminal velocity, while this one is falling with acceleration less than G, but didn't reach terminal velocity yet. تمام شكرا لكم. Next. So this is the power of air. يجي يعني تخيلوا يا شباب لو ما في air resistance عشان تعرفوا شو يعني قصدي power of the air. المطر rain drops falls from clouds. هدول الكلاودز بيكونوا 3000 meters or 12,000 meters above what? Above the earth's surface. Let's say 12,000 meters. If one drop from 12,000 meters fall and there is no air resistance and it hits my head, it will get out from my chin like a bullet. Exactly. It's very huge. That's why on the moon, any small asteroid fall on the moon because of the gravity makes a hole because there's nothing slows it down. There's nothing to reduce the acceleration. So the air, there's no atmosphere, there's no air above the air, above the moon. That's why the speed keep increasing. But on Earth, any asteroid reach the Earth, it will be what will reduce the acceleration of it. A little bit, it depends on the size. Maybe the shooting star, it's burned due to the air resistance. Okay? فتخيلوا قد ايه الحمد لله انه في air resistance. لو ما في air resistance, anything falls, it make a huge disaster. تمام. This question number 9. Okay. Question number 9, page 15, I think, page 14, yes, page 14. What is it? The figure shows the path of one drop of water in jet of a powerful hose. The figure shows the speed time graph of it. So it goes upwards with deceleration, stops, then falls downward with what? With acceleration. So as you can see, it gets out, it goes upward even if the line is going down. The line going down because this deceleration. So there is uniform deceleration up until it reaches the maximum height and stops for an instant, then fall down, okay, with what? Uniform acceleration down. Okay, so forget that the line is going down, that means it's deceleration, and forget that the line is going up, which means acceleration. Okay, here it's going up with deceleration, and here it's going down with acceleration. So if I say that this is from 0 to 4 seconds, then from 4 seconds to what? To 8 seconds. Okay, that's what's happening here. So who can tell me the description of the motion of this object? Yes, of this water drop in the first 4 seconds. What's happening? هي مكتوب الجواب. send it to me. شو الجواب؟ يا شبيبة. What's happening here? Mr. Can I repeat? No problem. I'll repeat. Now, as the object is going up, as anything that you throw it upwards, it will keep what? Decelerating. The speed keep decelerating as it moves upwards until it reaches the maximum height and stop after 4 seconds. Then what? Here, after 4 seconds, 3 seconds, it depends on the speed that we throw it. Then what? It accelerates as it falls down. Acceleration, uniformly. How much is the acceleration, Adam? Do you know how much is the acceleration? How much is the acceleration? Yes, bravo, Muhammad. 10 meters per second. طب how much is the deceleration also? How much is the deceleration also, يا شباب صبايا? بعتوا لي, how much is the deceleration? Also how much? 10 meters per second. Why? During it's going up and during it's going down, and even if when it reaches the maximum height, there's only one force acting on it. What's this force? Weight. So during the whole motion up and down, there is no air resistance. In this question, there is no air resistance, so it falls with the gravity acceleration. So it goes up with -10, deceleration -10. It falls down negative with constant acceleration 10. So during the whole motion, going up or going down, the acceleration remains constant, which is 10. Thank you, Adam. صح. So describe the motion of the water drop. Okay, what we are going to say? Uniform deceleration. بعدين مع الشغلة ليش بيطلع لي حرف زيادة؟ Uniform deceleration as it moves up until it stops at maximum height. Yes, what did you ask? Okay, yes, what do you want to say? Okay. That's part A of the question. Part B and C. Part B and C, what do they ask? They said that the figure shows the path of one drop of water. Okay, use the figure to find. احنا حكينا يا شباب اي جراف بيعطيني اياها بسأل 4 شغلات. XY axis, values from XY axis, description of what's happening here, gradient, area. هذول 4 شغلات حيسألنا عنهم دائما بأي جراف. Okay. Mr. Can we, I see question 9. Who had a question 9? This is question 9, yes. Okay, part A, yes. تفضل. So uniform deceleration in the beginning until it what stops at it reach maximum height. Then what? Falling down with constant what acceleration. But this didn't ask about after 8 seconds. They asked only in the first 4 seconds. Welcome. تمام. So next. Okay. Next شو بيحكي لنا السؤال? Use the graph to find the speed as it leaves the host. How much it leave the host? How much is the speed as it leave the host? يا شباب. Yes, برافو يا حازم, صح. 40 meters per second. برافو يا شباب. Excellent. 40 meters per second. The time when the speed is the least. امتى كانت السبيد أقل شيء؟ متى كانت؟ The speed is the least. At 4 what? 4 seconds. إذا مرة ثانية. Find out. شكرا يا مصطفى. The speed of the water leaving the hose, it was 40 meters per second. And the speed was the least at what? 4 seconds. Okay, C. Use values from the graph to calculate the acceleration as it falls back down towards the earth. قد ايه لازم يطلع الاكسلريشن؟ مين لازم يعطيني جواب؟ قبل شوي اعطاني اياه الجواب حدا من الشبيبه. قد ايه لازم يكون الاكسلريشن بدون كالكوليشن؟ قد ايه لازم يكون الاكسلريشن بالهواء؟ قد ايه الاكسلريشن as you fall down؟ 10. Thank you Adam. برافو عليك. Look here what they said. Use values from the graph to find the acceleration. So what are the values here? I will use this point and this point. How much is the coordination of this point? This point is 840. That means the time is 8 and the speed is 40. And this point, it's 4, what? 0. So they ask about acceleration, which is equal to the gradient, which is equal to 40 minus 0 divided by 8 minus 4. And as Adham said, and Hazem said, it's 10 meters per second square. Yes, you can say V, which is 40 here, minus U, which is 0, divide by the time, which is 8 minus 4, which is 4. Yes, exactly. شكرا لكم. برافو عليكم. Yes. يا سلام يا سلام. شباب روعة. Okay. تمام. Next. What they ask, calculate the greatest distance. Now we know that distance equal what يا شباب? What's distance equal? دائما أي graph بيسألني find XY axis, find description. هي عملنا description, عملنا XY axis, وعملنا الجريدينت. شو ضل؟ distance. What's the distance equal here? برافو يا أدهم. ها؟ شو بيحكي أدهم؟ Area under the graph. Bravo. It's change in speed divided by time. Okay? So the distance here is not 10. No, it's not 10. The distance here, it's the area under the graph. Now, can we find the area as it goes up or find the area as it falls down? Which one it will be? It will be the same thing because the distance to go up and the distance to fall down from the ground to the ground, it's the same. So I'll find the distance of this area under the graph. Okay? which is half, base, how much is the base? 4, multiplied by how much is the height? 40. So half base height, and the answer is how much? It's 80 what? Meters. Yes, شكرا لكم, bravo عليكم. Yes, we will use the triangle formula, yes. Okay, half base times what? Times height. إذا ما بدي أستخدم التراينجل formula, can I use the formula اللي أخذناها يا أستاذ? U plus V over 2 times T. Yes. How much is U? 40. How much is V? 0. Divide by 2, 20 times the 10, which is 4, بيطلع 80. The same answer. Yes. برافو عليكم. والله يعني مجموعة رائعة جدا. مجموعة حلوة كثير. It's easy. It's very easy. Look to me. Attention يا شباب. ركزوا. أي جراف عندي 4 شغلات. XY axis بيسألني to find out values. Describe what's happening. Okay. Area وإيش؟ Area وإيش؟ Gradient. ماشي. These are the things that they ask to what? To find out. ماشي. Okay يا شباب. طيب بكفينا هيك حصتنا اليوم. المرة الجاية بنكمل إن شاء الله. Okay. Any question? في ناس بعثوا لي أسئلة. Yes. الله يعطيكم العافية. شكرا لكم. اللي عنده أي سؤال stay online and ask me. If you don't have any question, we can go back. Okay. We stop till the forces. Yes. The forces ما أخذنا. Yes. Homework. كل إشي إحنا ما حليناه homework. Yes. Until this page. Until page 14. All the things that we didn't answer before, it's homework. ماشي? Okay. Yes. شكرا. 15 is not included. Yes. أهلا وسهلا, مع ألف سلامة. الله ييسر أموركم. واضح الأمور؟ تمام. شكرا لكم. يا الله. مع ألف سلامة. يعطيكم العافية. If you have a question, stay online. Send it to me. يلا ها. What do you have a question? Any question? Okay. يلا يعطيكم العافية. مع ألف سلامة. السلام عليكم.
Sir, thank you. And bye.